A human heart stops beating, not because of a blade or a bullet, but because a man in a white coat refused to wash his hands. In 1847, the most dangerous place on earth for a mother was a hospital. In Vienna's Ward 1, death was a ritual performed by gentlemen. You use it every day, a humble bar of scented fat. But this invention saved more lives than every medicine in human history combined. Yet the man who proved it worked was branded a lunatic, hounded by his peers, and left to rot in an asylum cell. Why did humanity forget how to be clean for 1,000 years? And what is the terrifying secret hidden inside a simple bubble? Our story begins 5,000 years ago in Babylon. Archaeologists found a recipe: fats boiled with wood ash, the first weapon against the invisible. If we had the cure for the world's deadliest plagues in 2800 BC, why did millions have to die before we finally used it? To find the answer, we must descend into the layers of filth that covered the world. Chapter 1. The Fat of the Fallen. To understand how we saved the world, we must look to the cradle of civilization, 2800 BC, ancient Babylon. Archaeologists found something more valuable than gold: a chemical breakthrough. Saponification, a brutal mixture of animal fat and wood ash. They had found the magic that destroyed the invisible. In Egypt, soap became a sacred necessity used to preserve the dead for eternity. But in Rome, cleanliness became a weapon of status. If you were clean, you were a god. If dirty, you were subhuman. We were on the brink of a revolution. But then, the lights went out, and the water stopped flowing. Next, the darkness. Chapter 3. The Great Forgetting. Don't blink. In 467 AD, Rome fell and the water stopped flowing. The Great Forgetting had begun. Europe became a playground for filth, where the church preached that bathing was a sin of vanity. When the plague arrived, it thrived on the layers of grime covering the people. But a secret lived in the East. In the Islamic Golden Age, soap was perfected, an emerald luxury that barbarians shared with the world. By the 1800s, soap returned, but medical arrogance remained, a darkness that killed. Next, the martyr of the maternity ward, the tragic life of Ignaz Semmelweis. Don't blink. 1847, Vienna's General Hospital was a factory of death. Enter Ignaz Semmelweis. In Ward 1, doctors walked straight from the autopsy table to the delivery room. Mothers died in droves. He mandated a simple lime solution. The mortality rate plummeted to nearly zero instantly. He had found the cure. But the establishment was insulted. They claimed a gentleman's hands could never be unclean. Hounded and broken, Semmelweis was lured into an institution and beaten by guards. He died from an infection. The very monster he spent his life trying to wash away. A martyr for the truth. Soap is a cold-blooded killer. Chapter 4. The Molecular Assassin. Don't blink. While Europe rotted in the shadow of the plague, a secret was being kept in the East. A scientific mastery that would change the texture of human life. Enter Al-Razi, the Persian genius. In his Book of Secrets, he documented the chemical shift from animal fat to pure vegetable oils. By introducing caustic soda, Al-Razi didn't just make soap, he made it hard, portable, and permanent. The first true luxury of the modern world. This was Aleppo soap, an emerald treasure that the Crusaders found more precious than spice or silk. It traveled the Silk Road, carrying the magic of cleanliness into the darkest corners of the West. The barbarians were masters of chemistry. The kings of Europe were masters of nothing but grime, but soon the two worlds would collide. Next, the Silk Road of cleanliness, how a luxury became a weapon of survival. Don't blink. To the medieval European, soap was a mystery from a distant land. While kings wore layers of perfume, the East traded in purity. The Silk Road was the conduit for Aleppo soap, emerald bars bound for the ports of the Mediterranean. In Damascus, soap making was a state secret. Pure olive oil created a soap that healed the skin. When the Crusaders encountered this luxury, they saw barbarians cleaner than any king in Christendom. It was the first step in Europe's journey back to the water, but millions would pay the price in blood first. The cost of delay was catastrophic. While the East thrived, the West was about to enter its darkest hour. Next, the Great Stink. when European cities became death traps. Don't blink. By 1850, London was the largest city on Earth, but beneath the Victorian grandeur lay a lethal secret. The Thames, the city's only source of water, had become a stagnant, open sewer, fermenting in the summer heat. In 1858, the Great Stink arrived, an odor so vile it forced Parliament to pass a bill in record time. Fearful of miasma, the foul air they believed carried disease, they turned to one man to save the city, Joseph Bazalgette. He designed 100 miles of sewers, a feat of engineering that unintentionally wiped out cholera. This underground revolution changed the city forever, but another battle was being fought on the front lines of war. Next, The Lady with the Lamp, how Florence Nightingale used data to declare war on filth. Don't blink. In 1854, the Crimean War was a playground for disease. Enter Florence Nightingale. In Scutari, the mortality rate was 42%. Men died from a lack of a clean floor. Nightingale brought data, declaring a war on filth that no general could win. Her diagrams proved hygiene saved lives. The mortality rate dropped to just 2%. She transformed hospitals, making cleanliness a fundamental right of the patient. Her success paved the way for the dawn of the antiseptic era. Next, the antiseptic surgeon. How Joseph Lister turned carbolic acid into a shield. Don't blink. In the mid-19th century, a surgeon's badge of experience was the blood on his coat, a harbinger of death for the patient. Hospital disease killed 15% of those who survived the blade. They didn't wash their hands or their tools. Enter Joseph Lister. He hypothesized that invisible microbes in the air were the real executioners. In 1865, he began spraying carbolic acid into the air, creating a chemical shield for the living. The results were undeniable. In 2 years, mortality fell to nearly 1%. The molecular war had its general. But to win the war, they had to prove the monsters existed. The world was about to meet the germ. Next, the father of germs. How Louis Pasteur exposed the invisible army killing us for millennia. Don't blink. For millennia, we were at war with an invisible army, until one man exposed the enemy. Louis Pasteur conducted experiments that shattered the medical world's most stubborn delusions. He proved that decay was the work of microorganisms, germs, floating in the very air we breathe. Pasteur provided the foundation for Nightingale and Lister. Hygiene became a mandate of science. Cleanliness moved from the hospital to the factory floor. The global soap industry was born. Barber Andrew Peers realized he could sell pure, scented hygiene to the masses. Next, the barons of bubbles. How soap conquered every home. Don't blink. Andrew Peers wasn't a scientist. He was a barber. In 1789, he realized the wealthy were poisoning their skin with lead-filled soaps. He developed a curious process to remove impurities, creating the first transparent soap. Cleanliness was becoming refinement. But William Lever truly weaponized the bubble. In 1884, he launched Sunlight Soap, trading animal fats for affordable vegetable oils. Lever sold a new way of life. He built Port Sunlight, proving a healthy workforce was an industrial powerhouse. Through mass marketing, cleanliness was branded as a moral virtue. By the turn of the century, the weapon was in every home. We had the factories, and we had the marketing, but we still didn't understand how this simple fat killed our enemies. Next, the molecular assassin, the lethal science inside a single bubble. Don't blink. We think of soap as gentle. It's not. At a molecular level, soap is a cold-blooded killer. A virus is just genetic material wrapped in a fatty membrane. Soap molecules have two ends, one that loves water and one that hates it. When you lather, the fat-loving end wedges itself into the shell and rips it apart. It doesn't just wash the virus away, it executes it. From the clay vats of Babylon to the 21st century pandemic, the formula has barely changed. We spent millennia ignoring our most powerful weapon. If you lived in 1847, would you have believed the lone madman? Or are we still ignoring truths because they offend our egos? Tell me your thoughts in the comments. For centuries, soap turned into sticky scum in hard water. To solve it, we needed a miracle. Enter Project X. In secret labs, Dick Byerly spent years hunting for a heavy-duty synthetic cleaner. His breakthrough was counterintuitive. By flooding the formula with builders, he outperformed any soap in history. In 1946, Tide arrived. Paired with the automatic washing machine, it transformed domestic labor forever. This was a fundamental shift. Cleanliness was no longer just a chore. It was an industrial right. Next, the rise of the soap opera, how hygiene became a cultural commodity. Don't blink. By the 1930s, soap wasn't just in your sink. It was in your ears and on your screens. Procter & Gamble and Lever realized that to sell soap, they had to sell stories, sponsoring dramas aimed at the home. These tales became known as soap operas. Cleanliness was now about the narrative of the perfect home. Hygiene became a social requirement. To be dirty was to be a failure in a consumerist world. The soap barons conquered the home, but soon the molecular war would find a new, liquid battlefield. From the liquid revolution to the rise of superbugs, our relationship with soap was getting complicated. Next, the modern frontier, when the bubble meets the superbug. Don't blink. For a century, liquid soap was an industrial secret. In 1980, one man brought the revolution into our homes. It began in 1865, a viscous mixture of soap and ammonia. Effective but largely forgotten. Robert Taylor bet his company on a single gamble. He bought every hand pump in America, freezing his competitors out. Then came the promise of antibacterial power. We began to fear the world more than ever. We added triclosan until the FDA issued a landmark ban in 2016. Plain soap was safer and just as lethal. But are we too clean? The hygiene hypothesis warns that a sterile world is a dangerous world. Next, the future of the bubble. Are we ready for the return of our old friends? Don't blink. In 2020, the world turned to our oldest weapon. Against a global pandemic, hand washing remained our first shield. But purity has a cost. The demand for palm oil has fueled massive deforestation for industrial surfactants. 1 billion plastic jugs are bought every year. Most end up in landfills, a permanent legacy of a temporary clean. We are realizing the hygiene hypothesis. In our attempt to be clean, we have depleted our microbiome. The modern frontier lies in balancing our ancient need for disinfection with the health of our own microscopic world. Next, the future of the bubble. Can we engineer a cleaner world without destroying it? Don't blink. The future of the bubble is being written in the code of life. We are entering the era of smart hygiene. Through precision fermentation, we brew surfactants in vats, eliminating the need for palm oil or petroleum. Bioluminescent proteins will soon give us visual confirmation of cleanliness, a dance of light and shadow. Our journey has taken us from Babylonian clay to synthetic biology. The choice is now ours. Will we wash with the wisdom of our old friends or drown in our own purity? Choose wisely. Tell me your thoughts in the comments. I'm Jimmy Kim, and this has been The Silent Archive. Don't blink.